Hello everyone. In this video, I will show you a really cool ninja trick to execute processes or applications against remote systems. Now, typically when we think of running something against a remote system, we think of PsExec, but what makes this trick awesome is that we won't use any third-party tools. We will do this just by leveraging an application that's already built into the Windows operating system. So let's get started. GED has already been downloaded to my system and it is saved under ctemp. So let's browse to ctemp using, well, in a command prompt. You can use cmd. I tend to use a more powerful command prompt called commander. Okay, let's change directories to ctemp. Let's see what we have here. Let's do a dir. Let's only show files in beer format, and I want to see the full path to the file. /s is typically used to show all files in the current directory and subdirectories, but in this case I'm only using it because it also provides the full path to files. So let's hit enter, and as you can see we have the full path to gp event dump or GED. Okay, great. So now the key purpose of using this trick, right, is to execute a command against a remote system. So first let's take a look at what my host name is. So the system that I'm currently typing on is called Win7, and Windows 7 is in fact installed on this box, hence why it's called Windows 7. But the system that I want to execute GED against is called Windows 10, and that one has the Windows operating system. GED works on any 64-bit version of Windows from Vista and above. Okay, so let's first ping it to ensure that it's online, and we get back a response. So I think we're all set here. And one key thing to keep in mind is to make this work, the application has to exist locally on that box. So for example, you can't have the application on a network share and attempt to use this trick to run it, right? It has to be local on the box. So GED is stored locally on my box under ctemp, and I also want to store it locally on Windows 10 under the same location. So we can achieve this by using xcopy. So xcopy gp event dump, right? And we want to copy it to the ctemp. How can we do this? By using the admin share, $. That's how we will achieve this. And then we have temp. Let's confirm everything is typed correctly here. Okay. And then we use the /y to suppress any prompt. So we have xcopy, we have the application gp event dump.exe, we have where we want to copy it to, and we have y here to suppress any prompt. So I'm going to click enter, and it should be copied. So how can we confirm that it was copied? By using the dir command again, right? Dir only show files in beer format. /s, once again, we use this to get the full file path, not because we really want to see the contents of subdirectories. And we specify the path here, Win10 temp, and that should be about it. And as you can see, we have the full file path, and the file does now exist on the Windows 10 box. Now it's time to get into the ninja trick, the cool stuff. So let's take a look first. First, let me bring up the command prompt so it's clear on the screen. And let me paste in a command line for you. And here it is. Let me explain what this is. But all I want to focus on here is the variables that we have to change. So this is the command line. And all we need to do is change 3 things and we are done. Okay, we need to change this field to a valid computer name. We need to change program to a valid program path, and we need to change arguments to a valid argument, and we are done. This is the magic command that will allow you to execute GED or any application for that matter against a remote system. So based on what we know so far, let's populate these fields. Okay, so for computer, let's browse back. Okay, for computer, we know that we want to execute this thing against Windows 10. Okay, that's done. That's 1 down, 2 to go. For program, we know that we want to run the GED application, and the GED application is stored locally on that Windows 10 box under C temp. Whenever I specify a path, it's best practice to use double quotes. It's really only needed for when the path has spaces, but for best practice, just to make sure it doesn't catch you in the butt, when you forget about it, just always use it. Okay, so we have the double quotes, C temp, and we have GP event dump.exe, right? The full file path is between the quotes. And for the arguments for the GED application, we want to specify here simply the path to where the dump files will be located on the local file system. And once again, it's a path, so I have double quotes. And within the double quotes, I'm typing in ctemp, and let's put it under logs. Okay, so in the same folder that we have the application on the Windows 10 box, a logs folder will be created when it needs to dump data, and the log files themselves will be within that folder. And I think that's about it. But before we execute this, let's take a look at the Windows 10 box first to see what's going on that side. Okay, so now I'm on the Windows 10 box. How can we confirm? Let's open up my favorite command prompt, application commander. Let's take a look at hostname. Even though the display in the background clearly shows that it's not Windows 7, let's just confirm, right? So we see here that it is Windows 10. Now, a command that we can use, I want to run a command here to show clearly that GP event dump is not running on this system currently. So we can use an application called task list, and we want to filter all of the tasks that are currently running to those that have an image name or process name of equal to GP event dmp.exe. That is the name, right? So it will query the task list and take a look at all the processes and show us information about the one that has an image name or process name of GP evt dmp.exe, which is the name of GED or GP event dump. I click enter. No tasks are running. So currently we've confirmed this is not running on this Windows 10 box, period. It's not there. Okay, let's go back to Windows 7 now, and let's execute this ninja trick and let's see what happens. Firstly, we want to take a look at a few things before we dive back to the Windows 10 box. We confirm that the program was executed successfully. That's A. Right, so typically you want to look for this, and you want to look for a return value of 0, which means that once again everything was executed and everything is fine. The next thing we want to take a look at, just for reference, is that we have a process ID. This is the process ID on the remote system, right? So the process ID is 4820. Okay, so let's jump back to the Windows 10 box now. Let's run this command again and let's see what we have. Aha, the process is running. It is called, this is the actual executable or image name, and we see that the process ID matches. Okay, so now we need to create some group policy activity to see these dump files on the local drive. In my environment, I have group policy updating every 5 minutes just to be able to get more group policy activity by default. But what I'll do here is I'll run gp update force, and this will force a group policy cycling for both computer and user configuration data. And while this is being done, what's happening is after each cycle is complete, we should have at least 2 files, right? Because while I'm running this command, the background processing may have happened as well. So at a minimum, we should have 2 files, one for the computer configuration, one for the user configuration. So let's change directory here to ctemp. And now this time I really want to use, so let's use the dir command, only files. Actually, let's look at everything. Let's look at everything because we now have the logs folder, and that's a directory. So I want to make sure that's visible on the screen. So dir command, I still want the bare format, don't want any summary information or headings and so forth. And I really want the /s this time. I want to see everything from ctemp down. So I think this is the command we need. Hit enter. And as you can see, we have the GP or GED file. It did create the logs folder, and within that folder we have quite a few dump files. So maybe the background refresh happened while I ran the GP event command. So I'll bring this up so we can have the full command prompt on the screen. Now we can view the contents of one of these files just to confirm. So this is a dump file. Here's the date timestamp for the Windows 10 operating system. Not Windows 10 operating system, but this is the host name of the box. Once again, Win 10, it gives us the host name in the file name. And this is for computer configuration. So to show this file in the command prompt, you can use the type command. And I'll paste the full file path. And as you can see, this was in fact a computer settings configuration, and this is the contents of the file. So once again, I think we're all done here, but the key thing to keep in mind here is that the wmic tool can be used to execute GED or any application that you want against a remote system. And if you use the command line that I've provided in this video, all you need to do is substitute 3 things and you're all set. So if you have any comments, feel free to leave it below, and be on the lookout for my next video where I explain the switches of the wmic tool in more detail.